Here at Heart of Glass, the podcast, it's our responsibility to make this the safest listening and viewing experience possible for everyone. So that being said, today's episode talks a lot about suicide. If that's something that's a trigger for you, we invite you to skip past this episode. Welcome back to Heart of Glass, the podcast, the show where we take a more intimate, in-depth look at the awesome humans that make up our Glass City. We are here filming right here at Toledo Spirits, one of our sponsors. Our guest today is not quite of age yet, so she will not be partaking. But normally we do serve our guests Heart of Glass vodka, but to, conform to laws. Today we are not doing that.
Exactly.
Today's Glass City guest is a very talented 20-year-old musician. She has a beautiful voice, and she has a talent for crafting lyrics. She attended IMTA, which is the International Modeling and Talent Association in LA, where she won Songwriter of the Year and first runner-up Singer of the Year in 2020. Outside of her impressive musical accomplishments, because they are extremely impressive, she has an incredible story, and she is one strong, badass young lady. So, humans of Toledo, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Ella Cole. Ella, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you here to do this because your story is truly incredible. When you sent me your story, after I got done reading it, my fiance was sitting right next to me, and first thing I said was, wow. I said, she is very strong. She's been through a lot. You've been through a lot in your 20 years on this earth.
Yeah.
You really have.
I have, yeah.
And then the second thing I thought was that you're gonna impact a lot of people in a really positive way, because a lot of the struggles that you've experienced, while everybody struggles in their own special way, it's not unique to a lot of people. It's just not a lot of people will talk about things in this detail. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to help you share your story to impact people. So let's just start from the beginning. How old were you when you fell in love with singing?
4. I mean,
4.
From since I could talk.
Okay.
4, I started doing like vocal lessons and stuff, and I always knew my whole life was music was what I wanted to do. So.
Okay, all right. So did you just kind of open your mouth and start singing, and you were like, man, I really enjoy doing this, or was it something that just kind of over time?
Yeah, I think it was over time, because like when you're 4, you don't like know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, over time it was just like singing. I was just always singing, and my mom always had me singing different places.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I always loved it. And then as I grew up, I started doing the songwriting and just fell in love with it.
That's awesome. So music, it seems like music and singing has kind of been weaved through your entire life.
Yeah.
It's been a big part of who you are, which I think is important to point out, because the thing that I noticed through reading your entire story, while I know you've stepped away at certain points, it doesn't seem like it's ever left you. You may have stepped away from it in a public sense, but it's still very much a part of you.
Yeah.
So let's start back. Let's take a look at 6th grade for a second, because it seems like, in thinking about that, I know that bullying was very much a big theme throughout your schooling, but it seems like 6th grade is where it started, right?
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
That's exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so you said that you had students telling you on a daily basis to kill yourself.
Yeah.
That, when I read that got me, because it's one thing to feel that way, to feel like you don't want to be on this planet anymore. It's another thing to have people telling you that you should do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so as an 11, 12-year-old, how did that emotionally and mentally impact you, hearing those words on a regular basis? Because that's a really impressionable time.
Yeah. I don't even think I realized what was going on, because I was so confused as to why people were sending me these emails, because everything was on iPads. So we didn't like learn from books. It was on iPads, so you could email anyone in the school.
Wow.
And so I think I didn't even realize what was happening until I got out of the school, and I was like, whoa, that's not cool at all.
So did it kind of come out of nowhere where kids started treating you like that, or did it stem from a specific event?
I think it was girl drama is what it was. And so it was just rumors that were being spread by this one girl.
Yeah.
And she was jealous of a friend that I had, because I was spending more time with this friend. You know, 6th grade like stuff.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was spending more time with this friend than I was with her, so she started spreading rumors about me. And the school was middle school and a high school.
Yeah.
So I was getting emails from all these people. I had no clue who they were. They didn't know me as a person because I was always really quiet in school throughout it all. So
Wow.
it was just, I didn't want to be at that school
Can't
like
imagine why
anymore.
not,
Like I
right?
was in the counselor's office every day, and I didn't understand why it was happening and why people were telling me this, because they don't even know me. So why are you saying this to me?
I feel for students of this day and age because, I mean, I know I'm older than you, but not crazy older
Yeah.
than you know what I mean? But even still, when I was in middle school and high school, the internet was obviously a thing, and we used AOL Instant Messenger,
Yeah.
but we didn't have the social media aspect that is in place today.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to fathom what it's like being a teenager today and being a middle schooler, even younger, because it doesn't take much to say some incredibly hurtful and sometimes life-ending words on a keyboard.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that was really hard to process. You mentioned being in the counselor's office a lot. Did you view the counselor as kind of a safe haven and just kind of a refuge from all of that?
Yeah, I would say it was more of an escape from like going to my classes, because I always felt like everyone was looking at me, everyone was judging me, and I'm 11, 12 at the time.
Yeah.
Like, you're young.
Yeah.
And so I just went to the counselors constantly, and she would just have me sit in there. She didn't really talk to me, so it was just kind of more of an escape from classes. And I'd have
Sure.
my mom pick me up all the time. I just did not want to be at that school when this was going on, because you have all these eyes looking at you, and it's like,
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. So thinking back, once again, 11, 12 years old, did that at all give you some social anxiety? Because I would imagine that when you feel like all eyes are on you all the time, that translates into just about every
Oh, yeah.
public and social situation. So even at that age, did you feel like that was a struggle for you?
yeah, for sure. It was.
I bet.
It was, yeah. And it kept going, and it kept getting worse, especially when I got into high school. It came to a point I couldn't be in my classes anymore. It was, and then even when I would just go out in public with my family, I didn't want to go anywhere.
That's
I just wanted to stay in my
understandable.
room, because I was like, people are going to judge me for every single thing that I do. And even if, someone's not thinking about you, you think that they're thinking about you and judging
Absolutely.
you, but they're really not.
Absolutely.
But you still think that, and it's,
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's that way to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I think oftentimes when you go through situations like what you've been through, it's amplified by a lot. And I know when you initially said, sixth grade stuff, when you were talking about friend drama, it may have been sixth grade stuff, but it was very real for you. I mean, whether or not that problem might seem minimal to an adult or not, it's not, because it's your life, and that's what you were going through. So it's very real for you.
yeah.
So you said it got so bad that you ended up switching schools. And when you did that, you said it was kind of the same story where you were just being picked on constantly until you got up and you sang in front of the school.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you, having that sudden shift, going from feeling like a social outcast to then suddenly people are treating you with at least minimum human decency? What did that feel like for you?
I was kind of mad a little bit.
That's kind of what I wondered.
Was kind of
I wondered.
mad because, when I went to the other school, it wasn't like so much they were talking to your face. It was everything was behind your back.
Sure.
And I wasn't in like the popular crowd. I was the weird kid who sang, and I did music.
Us
and
weird kids that sing.
I know, right? But it was just like going from being picked on constantly and told to kill myself, and then being kind of picked on here and there, like looks in the hallway. It wasn't terrible. And then going to singing in front of the school and everyone treating me like, oh, she's the best thing in the world, was like, really?
Well, that was
kinda
going to
like,
be my
really, you
question.
guys?
Did that not feel genuine to you?
Yeah, it was not genuine at all.
I can imagine. So then let's flash forward to high school a couple years later. So you were in theater, marching band, and choir.
Yeah.
So triple threat.
I was living the dream.
Okay. So knowing everything that you'd been experiencing, my first question to you in regard to that is what did having those creative outlets mean for you?
I loved it.
Did you?
I loved it. I loved theater. Like, theater was my place.
Was it?
Yeah, I loved it. I was so excited to go to high school to be able to do theater. That was the only thing I wanted to do. I didn't really want to do band, but I liked it. It was fun. Played the clarinet. It was a good time.
Nice. Nice.
And then choir, you know, I'm a singer, so obviously I'm
Right.
going to do choir, but theater was definitely my escape for a while, and then it became so much not an escape anymore.
It's always hard when you have
Yeah.
something that starts out as like a really pure experience that feeds you, and then it morphs and kind of gets distorted into something that is no longer life-giving. And I imagine that's very hard.
Oh yeah.
So besides the fact that you were dealing with that and that you did have those creative outlets, speaking from experience being in high school in multiple groups, that's a lot to juggle. So what was that like for you, handling the demand of being in 3 pretty equally demanding creative endeavors?
I was very busy. I
bet.
was very busy.
I bet.
My freshman year, I was also cheerleading. So I was going to like cheer practice right after school, running over to the theater department to practice for the musical.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'd have like a band thing or something after, and so I had no time to do homework, or I just had terrible time management.
I would imagine.
And I was like, did not get good grades my freshman year at all.
Sure.
So it was hard to like juggle it all with the time management, but as you know, years went on, it got easier, obviously. But.
I bet. Did you find that the busyness and just investment that you have to make when you're involved in something like that helped to kind of distract you from the chaos that was going on around you with friends and everything?
Yeah, in a way. At first, it was just hard juggling it all, and then as time went on, I think since theater, that's where like drama started. It ended up becoming not so much of a distraction and more of like, oh, I have to go do this, really. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be doing this. So
I get that.
it was, at first, it was definitely a distraction of everything that was going on, and then it became.
Then it shifted?
Yeah.
So you mentioned obtaining this kind of close-knit group of friends. So just looking at the beginning of that, when it was very good with those friends, what was that like going from dealing with rejection kind of on a regular basis and not really having a lot of close-knit friends to then you have this close-knit group of friends? What was that like for you?
It was the first time I had a group of friends. Like, I had always had friends, but we were never like a group who did everything together. This friend group, we did everything together.
Okay.
After rehearsal, we'd go over to someone's house, or we were very, very close. And it was one of those like, oh, we're gonna be friends forever type thing. And I take that very seriously with my like relationships and friendships. It's like very genuine. Like, I look long term for things, even with friends and everything. And so, what was the question?
That is okay. That is okay. Here on the Heart of Glass podcast, we are very real. Sometimes we lose our train of thought. I don't know if you have ADD, but I do. So I totally understand.
I don't even know what's going
We're
on.
good. It's all good. All good. No, I was just asking you what it was like going from really not having much of a social life to then now you have this close-knit group of friends, and you being such a loyal person and being so dedicated to that meant everything to you.
Yeah.
So what was that like theoretically having that initially?
It was amazing. Like, we had so much fun together. We'd go to like one of my friend's lake house, and the friend that the lake house was actually the theater director's daughter.
Okay.
So it was like I was close with the teacher as well, and just we all had a great friendship, and it was really good for like a good amount of time. And I was very, very happy to finally have like found my people, because throughout all of school, no one's really into music. Like, everyone's doing sports or something else. But when you get to high school, there's that select group that are always down in the choir room and stuff. And so I finally found that group of people, and I was so happy. And I remember I had saw them in the drama classroom, and they were all hanging out. And it was like, it started off as like 2 separate friend groups. It was 3 girls and then me and another girl that were just friends. And I remember I had saw these 3 girls in the classroom. I was like, I'm going to be their friend. Like I was
Nice.
like, I'm gonna be their friend. And we all ended up becoming friends, and it was really, really good for a good amount of time. And then it, you know.
Yeah, so you said junior year, it all kind of just started to unravel. You don't have to go into the nitty-gritty specifics of what caused it to unravel. However, the thing that jumped out at me when you were sharing that part of your story was the teacher piece of it. Because you told me that the teachers would egg it on. It was almost as if they enjoyed watching the drama and watching you guys tear each other apart. Can you elaborate a little more on that? Give a little bit more context to the teacher part of it?
Yeah, and I didn't realize the teacher part of it until I was out of high school. And I was like looking back and even going to like some of my brother's band things, I was like, this is messed up. I was like, this was messed up. And that's when I saw it. And, you know, the junior year, the friend group, it was 4 of us, and we got into a huge fight and like split up into like teams or whatever. It was like, some of us were over here and some of us were over here, and there were constant fighting, and we were all doing a play at the time, and we were the lead cast of the play. Was this whole friend group.
Okay.
And we had actually added more people to the friend group because we weren't nice. Like, I will admit that we were not nice. And I know I was not nice.
You know what, though, that takes a big person to be able to admit that they might have had a role in that. So I think that shows the type of person that you are.
Yeah, I've come to terms with that. Like, I was not nice. And I started not being nice, though, my junior year when all this drama was going on. And so we were all the lead cast of this play that we were doing. And, you know, we couldn't do rehearsal because we were just fighting at rehearsal. And it wasn't like physical fighting, but it was like, you know, mean looks and just like saying snarky comments and stuff. And so when the teacher would direct, or like the choir teacher, whoever was involved, it was like they liked to see us fight. They took us out into the hallway once, the theater director, and we were all sitting along, and he was like, you guys need to stop fighting. It was like, okay, so it doesn't look like you want us to or whatever. And he was like, this needs to stop. And then he started like screaming, and it got really intense, and it was just like, this isn't right. You're a teacher. But anyways, so it was just like, you know, we would go to his office, and we would talk, like one side of the group would talk about what was going on to the teacher, and then the other side of the group would come in and talk about what was going on to the teacher, and he'd be giving us, both of the 2 separate groups, like advice and stuff. And it's like, you don't do that. Like, you're a teacher, and you have these students coming to you talking about this drama and all of this fighting that's going on, and you're saying, oh, well, maybe it's just because of this, or like, try this. And it's, maybe you're just trying your best to give advice, but I just saw it and took it as, just with the way that they acted, that they liked us having drama, because it was always talked about.
So what was that like for you? Because even in high school, you're still very much a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what was that like for you, having someone who is supposed to be in a role where they have your best interest at heart and they're there to protect you? What was that like, not knowing that that's how it's supposed to be, but not having it be that way?
It was not good. Like, when I had left school and looked, you know, was relooking, reflecting on everything, it was kind of like heartbreaking almost, because there was another situation where I had went and said to the theater teacher, my dream was always Broadway. It was never to play out. It was never to record. Now it is, but it was always Broadway.
I could see that with your vocal style. That makes a lot of sense.
And I had went to the teacher and I said, do you think I have a shot at this? Like, serious. I was gonna go to school for musical theater. I was gonna move to New York. I was gonna try to make it in some way. And he just looked at me and said no. And I had just been cast as the lead in the musical. And he said the only reason I casted you in this part was because in the audition you said it was your dream role. And that crushed me.
I bet it did.
So I was like, so there was no like, just based on talent, it was just because I said it was my dream role. One, that's not fair to the other students who auditioned for that part.
Yeah.
And it was just like baffling. And then to have him look me in the face and say, no, I don't think you'll make it, and then list why he doesn't think I'll make it, was like, what? So I think that's probably the situation that made me look and say, something's not right here. And that's why they like to egg on the drama and, you know, what they did. It was just like, what? You're supposed to encourage your students and say,
Absolutely.
you know what? Give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, try something else. Like, we have one life, live it, or something like that, you know? It was just straight up no.
Well, first of all, that teacher's crazy because you're seriously, if you want to just talk about raw talent, you're extremely talented.
Thank you.
But even more than that, it's a teacher's job to help you in the best way that they can, do everything that they can to help you reach that goal. It's not really their job to speak into your life that way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a skill set like you do, then yes, you have a shot, you know? I mean, you know this, there are countless Broadway superstars that were told at one point that wasn't in the cards for them. So I'm really sorry that happened to you, because you're right, that shouldn't, there's something very wrong there that should never have happened.
And I was like 16, 17 at the time, and having no idea what I was going to do with my life, and having this like dream, and it was like, let's try and make something of it. And then just to get looked in my face and told just straight up no, was like, oh, okay. Wow.
Right.
So it was tough at that point when he said that.
I get that. So you said you started skipping school. You honestly didn't want to be there. And when you were there for choir, you still didn't want to be there. And that's incredibly understandable considering everything. So I know that during this time period, was this during this time period or your senior year that you became drum major? Was that junior year?
I had auditioned junior year,
okay,
and he had told me I was going to be drum major my senior year.
Okay,
so
that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah,
that's an incredible accomplishment.
And I had auditioned for it sophomore year to be at my junior year and didn't make it. And then I had went to him and I was like, I really want this. Like, I think this, because I hated playing the clarinet.
Really?
And I was like, I would rather like be up in the front conducting the band. That'd be sweet. And so I like was practicing, and I went to my band director and I was like, can I have like help? Like, I really want to do this. And I ended up getting it. And I remember I called my mom right when I found out. It was like during school. And I was just like freaking out because I was so excited. It was something that I really worked hard for. And I had gotten it my junior year. And it was like something that made me really happy in the midst of all the, stuff going on.
I bet it did. That's a huge accomplishment. And a huge commitment.
Yeah.
So that being said, with everything else that was going on, I bet that was a welcome escape. But how hard or easy was it for you to keep your head in the game with things while you were in that position with all the chaos going around you?
It like didn't happen because I couldn't keep my head straight. Like, I couldn't keep my mind straight with all this drama. Like, if I went into detail of all the drama going on, we'd be here for days, and I don't even think I remember it all now. But it was so much going on, and stuff in my personal life too, not even just at school, stuff at home too. And getting drum major, I was so excited. And then as time went on and things were getting near and I was supposed to go to this camp and do all this thing, I was like, I don't even want to be in this school anymore.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to lead a band, 100-something student marching band.
Right.
And I ended up going into my band director's office and quitting it and saying, I can't do it. I'm not going to go to this camp and do all the work and then come back my senior year and be like, sorry, peace. Like, find someone else. I'm not going to do that. I remember I just broke down just sobbing because it was something I wanted for so long. And then I finally had it, and then I knew in my head that there was no way I was going to be able to do this with the state my mental health was in.
It must have been a heartbreaking realization for
It was.
you.
I was like sobbing in front of my two band directors. I felt kind of weird, but I couldn't keep it in. I'm a crier. So I was just
Criers Unite. We got, yes, indeed. All right.
Yeah.
I get that. So for your senior year, you ended up deciding to do a virtual learning format. Mm-hmm. But were you still going, when you were doing the virtual learning at home, were you still going in at that time to school for activities?
Yeah, at the first couple months of school, I'd say I was going in half day. And So I was doing all my schoolwork at home.
Okay.
And it was super simple. Because at this point, I just wanted to graduate. I was like, I am done.
I bet
like,
you did.
I want to
yeah.
be a singer. Like, I'm done. I don't need
Right.
this. I'm not going to college.
Right.
I don't want this. And so I just wanted to graduate. And so the program that I was put into, I really felt like it was just for people who just needed to get out of high school. And it was,
That's great.
I loved it. And I liked going in half day because I was still able to see all of my friends. And at this point, the friend group had made up and things were okay. So I was going in the half day and I was doing choir, and then I think I did like teacher aiding or something.
Yeah.
I didn't take normal classes there because I was doing them online. And I really enjoyed that.
That's
but
great.
then
Yeah.
I couldn't do it
Yeah,
anymore.
girl, you said that at that time the drama kind of reignited.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to school.
Sure.
So I was only going a half day. So they would invite me over and then just act like I wasn't there or didn't know what was going on. And I told them, I remember telling them, I still want to know what's going on. Like, I still want to be involved.
Well,
I was
sure.
still in the musical, my senior musical at this point, I was still in it. And I was like, I'm still here. I'm still your friend.
Right.
But then it got all crazy.
It sounds like it. You said that your anxiety and depression ratcheted up. So did that fall into correlation with having to say goodbye to being drum major?
Yeah.
Stepping away from that?
Yeah.
That makes sense. So then you said when all of this was going on, then your parents went through a divorce, which no matter how much it's in the best interest of all parties, that's still difficult. So what was that like dealing with that while also dealing with everything else and having and having your mental health take a dip? What was that like for you?
I feel like I was just like numb. Like I was just like empty. Like I didn't know what was going on because I had never thought in a million years, like any kid, like their parents were gonna get divorced. And when it happened, I had told this friend group and they did not care. They were just like, oh, that sucks.
Kids can be so mean.
Okay.
Seriously.
And I'm the kind of person, like, I've always been the friend, like everyone comes to me for advice and me for help, but when I need help, it's like everyone's disappeared. And it's like, where'd you guys go? Because I need some advice now or I need help, but they don't want it or they don't help me through it. But then when they need help, I'm always right there. And it was hard going through that. And then they would talk about my parents' divorce to my teachers, to our choir and theater director, in front of me. And I remember sitting in my choir director's office and one of the girls saying something about my parents' divorce, and I got up and I walked out of the doors of the school. I didn't like go out the office and like sign out. I walked out. I was done. I was like, that was messed up, and I walked home because I was like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't do that. That's messed up.
Well, the teachers should have, once again, it sounds like the teachers really dropped the ball, seriously, because once again, their job is not just to educate, it's to protect, it's to be a source of safety, to be someone that you know is going to regulate the situation when it needs to be regulated. And so, yeah, the teachers messed up a lot with that. So you said at this time, you, as an escape, you started playing out.
Yes.
And so tell me, considering this time of your life, but then also looking back over everything you had experienced up until then, what has music meant for you throughout all of that?
It was music. My whole life has always been an escape. It's always been like when I was sad or when when I'm happy or whatever, I'd be listening to music.
Absolutely.
And I love everything about it. It's just my, favorite thing. And it always will be, even if there are moments where I do get like burnt out or whatever, I will always love music. And it's always been my friend. Like it's always been right there for me. And even just, I have so many songs that I've written that are just terrible, but it's just like such a nice way to get your feelings out.
That catharsis, right?
And it's like, I'll never put these ones out because they're just not good, but getting those feelings out and onto paper and in music and stuff. It was really nice. And I had started writing at this time a lot because I was going to IMTA my senior year. And that's when I ended up not dropping out because I was still doing online, but not going to my school
Just
anymore.
going full time at home.
I was like full time at home, and then I had, you know, meetings and stuff with the agency Starbound Talent that I was going with to IMTA, and I remember my manager, I guess we'll call her. Her name's Wendy Davis. She's awesome. But we would go on walks at Wildwood and just like talk about my career and things that I wanted to do with my life, and I was so excited because even if these friends weren't supporting that, I was so excited that this was like something I'd always wanted to do, and like to have agents and people hear me sing.
Absolutely. That's very validating, I would imagine.
Well, yeah. And it was just so cool. And I was so excited. And then with playing out, I started solo. So I started on my own, and I was always nervous because I'm not the best. Well, I think I'm not the best. My mom disagrees. I don't think I'm the best like guitar player or piano player. But so I was nervous to do that out alone.
I get that.
Because I was like, if I mess up, everyone's gonna hear it on my guitar.
So just pause for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So for whatever you respect my opinion on this, as a guitarist, your guitar playing is not bad at all. I hear people, man, we're always our own worst critic, right?
I know,
okay.
yeah.
So my definition of can you actually play the guitar is if you can hold down the rhythm and it sounds smooth and nice. If you can do that, you can play the guitar. Yeah,
Sweet.
right?
Yeah.
Right? So you put that and your voice together, and it's a great combination.
Well,
Can I make an observation about you?
Yes.
Okay. So in listening to you talk through all of this hectic craziness and just heartbreak and rejection and being told no and in general not having a pretty distinct lack of stability, the thing that I've noticed you comment on over and over again is it still seemed like you were focused on, I have a future. I know I have a future. And regardless of what's going on around me, I still have dreams. So my observation about you is that you're a badass and you're very strong. And even though you might have had some people effectively kill or dampen certain dreams that you've had, you've been like, well, fuck this. That's fine. Then here's the next thing I want to do.
Yeah.
So you're amazing and you're strong because you've been through a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So then you talked about after high school and IMTA. What was that like being a part of IMTA?
It was so fun. I would do it again a million times. And I was nervous, but I was more excited because it was something I was looking so forward to.
Yeah.
And we went, and you'd think like, you know, there's models, dancers, actors.
Yeah.
Voice actors, singers, songwriters. There's everything that you can be in the entertainment field, you can go pretty much to IMTA for. And you'd think like they'd all be like stuck up or like have big egos or whatever. No. Everyone was so sweet and just supportive.
That's
and
amazing.
it was an amazing thing to be a part of, and I would recommend it like to anyone to do it because if you want to have your voice heard or like model or whatever, you know, there's hundreds of agents that go for, you know, either their, you know, recording studios, record labels, modeling agencies, people who need dancers, you know, actors. It's such a good way to get out there and get your voice heard, and being a part of that was so great. And then I wasn't even focused on like the awards and stuff because I was like, no, I just want like, I want to be in a recording studio. I want to record my music that I've been writing. And by winning, you know, Songwriter of the Year, I was shocked. And I remember after I won, I went in to do an interview. And I'm not good. Like this stuff, like
you're doing a great job.
You
really are.
Yeah.
Doing a great job.
Thank you. But I was, you know, I just won and they pulled me into this room. And so I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I just remember saying into the camera, I was like, I hate most of the songs I write. So this was really cool to win. And they were all looking at me like, all right, okay.
Ellen, why were you surprised? Why was it surprising to you that you won that?
I think I just really didn't, because there's so many people that go, and there were so many good songs. It came down to I think four of us, and the songs that these people had wrote were very good, and I liked all of them because I heard them all. Yeah. And I didn't think mine was anything special compared to theirs, and so to win that was like whoa. And I always thought like I got singer like in the bag. And I got first runner up, and I was like, whoa, but I won Songwriter of the Year. That was so crazy. And I was so excited even to win first runner up, even to just be on the stage in the finalists was such an amazing opportunity.
I bet it was.
I'd do it again. And then what was also cool, like it was just such a fun time.
It sounds like it.
And what was also cool was the staff, I'm pretty sure, got to pick a person that they wanted to sing at the award ceremony. And they picked me.
That's amazing.
And I was like, it was just so fun. It was so fun. And then you have callbacks too, and you go and you talk to all the agents that are interested in you. And I only went to 3, and you're supposed to like go to as many as you can, obviously. Yeah. But the first people I sat down with, I just had gotten such an amazing like vibe from them, and I knew what I was looking for because I know how people and producers and how they are, and like, oh, we're gonna make you a star, and I'm like, no, you're not. You're not. You're gonna take my money, and then I'm not gonna be a star. Is what's gonna happen. But the first people I sat down with, they we're gonna make you a star. They were just like, we'd love to work with you, and we want to hear like your ideas. We want to hear more songs, and I ended up working with them, releasing these 2 singles, and it was really good. Like I really, really had a great time doing it.
Let's talk about your 2 singles for a second, because they're incredible.
Thank you.
They're amazing. Your lyrics, your songwriting is awesome, first of all.
Thank
you. I'm not surprised that you won it, honestly, because your songwriting, from one songwriter to the next, seriously, kudos, because your songs are beautiful. They're my like songs on my Spotify, so they are in the rotation when I hit shuffle. So I want to hear about your 2 songs, because I'm always interested to know about the stories behind them. Yeah. So would you share some background about them?
For sure. Yeah. So the first one I put out was called "If You Don't Want to Talk," and what happens when I write is like, because I try to write every day or something every day, not necessarily song, just like a poem. I don't know, whatever. Just to because the more you write, I feel the better you get at it.
Oh, absolutely.
And the more words you can find and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And so I wrote "If You Don't Want to Talk" because my best friend of like, since we were in kindergarten, had gotten into a relationship and forgot I existed. And so
don't you hate it when that happens?
Yeah, I know. We're good now. But and I told her, I ended up telling her, I was like, yeah, girl, this song's about you. And I can do that with her because we've been friends for so long.
That's good.
It wasn't a mean song or anything. It was just like, it was, if you don't want to talk, like, I'm good. Because I was upset. It was like,
sure,
girl, like, we've been friends for so long, and then you get into a relationship and you don't.
Right.
You just act like you don't know me. And so I was getting really upset about that, and I had written that song in like 10 minutes. I was like,
really?
Okay, yeah, because when something like, I guess, triggers me or whatever, that's when the inspiration comes to write.
I get that.
Like, that's when it comes, and the words just like, I
Do you agree that they come most freely when you're feeling emotionally devastated? Because that's how I feel, right?
Yes. And so I just remember writing "If You Don't Want to Talk." I was on my bedroom floor, and I was in a basement, so it was just like the concrete floor with my piano.
Yeah.
And I was just writing and writing. It was just all coming out, and I was like, all right, this is good. And so I think it was just about us just not talking about what was going on, and her just completely ignoring me and whatnot. And we've talked about it now. Everything's, we're good.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it is. And at first I had written her this whole letter, and I was going to send her the song and be like, I'm really, like, this is really affecting me, because you don't do that. You don't go get into a relationship and then forget about all of your friends.
It's that new relationship tunnel vision. It is.
I know. And so it was just hurtful. And I was like, the way I am, I just don't do that. I get like being excited about being with someone and whatnot, but I'm not going to forget everyone else around me exists.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
I kind of.
Do you know what house you are?
I know, I don't.
Okay, so I'm a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
They're incredibly loyal.
Yeah.
Strike me as a Hufflepuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I went to Harry Potter World once, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. I've only seen like one movie.
Really?
Yeah, I've read some of the books.
Okay.
I like them. I've just never like dove into Harry Potter.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Yes.
I thought I was a Harry Potter genius at Harry Potter World, though, because I thought I knew everything. I didn't know anything, but I was going around like I did. I was like, I want a wand, I want a cloak. I don't even know what house I am.
You wanted all the good stuff.
I wanted all the stuff.
Well, I would seriously get online and take a test.
Yeah.
Because they're all over the internet. I would love to know. Because
Oh, for sure.
you seem like a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you
They're
know.
a vastly misunderstood group of people. So,
Sweet. I'll let you know. I'll do that.
so what was your biggest takeaway from your time in LA?
I think that it is possible that like the dreams that I want to happen are possible. It's gonna take time. It's, you know, some people just get it overnight. Some people go viral and get whatever, but I think it made me more hopeful for my future, and like it was just such a positive experience. And seeing how supportive of everyone was, I was like, these are people I want to be around. Like, and maybe not every single person there was super supportive, but everyone, at least who I went with, I mean, we would sit in the lobby after a long day, and, you know, we had actors, dancers, we had, you know, everything, models. I think I was the only songwriter. No, there were two of us that were songwriters, but we would all sit in the lobby of the hotel, because it all took place in a huge hotel in LA, and we would just like talk about the day and everything that we did. I remember I would just like take out my extensions. And mind you, there's all these like big wigs running around this place, and I'm just like taking out my clip-in extensions. I'm tired. And it was such a fun experience. And once again, I do it again. I want to do it again. I'm like, I want to go back.
That's awesome.
It was so fun. And I think the big takeaway from it for me was just like, this is possible. Like, it's not all in my head. I can do this if I really put my mind to it. Like, I think also having that validation, I guess, from these producers and from these agents, because, you know, they had workshops too with the agents that you could go in. Like, there was a songwriting workshop, there were so many like classes that you could do, and, you know, going and talking one-on-one with these people, and them, you know, hearing my voice, because when you do the competitions, you go through so many rounds, and so these agents that were judging these competitions had heard me sing and whatever, and just like knowing that they thought that I could make it once I did sit down with them at callbacks was like pretty cool.
I bet.
Because in the people I worked with, Water Sound Entertainment, had, I don't know if my producer's name's John DeGrazio, if he had worked with Atlantic Records or has connections or something, but I had a meeting with Atlantic Records, and it was such a cool experience. I was on such a high because I was like, what is going on right now? And, you know, it was so fun, and I'd do it again. It was such an amazing experience, and it was something that I needed at that point in my life to do.
I bet, especially after considering everything that you'd gone through leading up until this must have been the biggest breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I mean, you were out of the situation, but you were literally physically away from all of that and all of those people.
And I remember I went January 2020, and so school, we hadn't graduated yet. I don't think, But, and so when I went to LA and I was sitting in my hotel room, and I get a text, and it's from one of the girls in the friend group. And at this point we weren't talking. I said, don't contact me ever again, because there was a huge fight that happened once I left school, and they had like completely replaced me and were just like saying really mean things to me and about me. And I was like, I'm not, like, things I had told. I had a friend in the group who was like, I was closer to than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And you're in high school, so you're gonna tell people things that you probably shouldn't. And things that I had told her, she had told the friend group or whatever. And so, you know, and I said, I'm sorry. And like, I know that I wasn't that nice, and I know that what I did wrong in the situation. But what's different is they don't know what they did wrong, and they still don't to this day. And I can see that on their social media, because they act the same way that they did in high school. And if I look back on high school, I cringe, because I'm like, I don't know who you were, girl, because that was rough. But I give myself like love and appreciation, because I know what that girl was going through at that time. But I know some of the things I did was wrong. And I had actually, after I left high school, I talked to some of the people who I knew I hurt. And I sat down with them and I said, I just want to apologize because I know I was mean and I know how that feels to be talked about and picked on. It's like I became not as extreme. I would never tell someone to kill themselves or anything ever because I know how that feels, but just judgy. And I became what was like happening to me in middle school. And that's like a big thing too. Like all the bullies of the world or whatever, they have to take, they've either been bullied or they have situations that are going on and take their anger out on other people. And so that's what I was doing because I had all these situations going around. And I remember when I was the lead in the musical, all these freshmen were coming up to me and they're like, you're so amazing, you're so amazing. And I'd just be like, thanks, and like walk off. And that's not me. I like to like, thank you so much. Like, because that is so nice that they don't have to come up to me and say that, and they all looked up to me. And I had found that out when I left high school because some students would go into my mom's boutique and they'd be like, oh my God, your daughter's Isabella Litzer. And like, oh, we all still talk about her and stuff. And like, that's so weird to hear about. But I'm kind of at peace knowing that I went to these people who I know that I hurt and did some, not so nice things to.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Apologize and had to talk with them, and now we're good. And one of them I'm great friends with now. So
it sounds like you've been able to give yourself love and grace with it, and self-forgiveness. I think that's really hard for a lot of people, and you have a really good heart, and you have humility, because that's really hard, especially.
It's definitely hard to say, hey, yes, I messed up, I was mean, I know I hurt you. Like, not many people can do that.
Right.
And come to terms with, I was a mean person, I wasn't nice. And then sit the person down and explain what was going on and say, I'm sorry, because I know those words that I was told in middle school and stuff I was told in high school will always stick with me.
It sticks in your brain.
More than the fighting and the actions that happen, it's the words that stick with me. And they still will come up to this day sometimes. And I know that I said some words and some things that are going to stick with those people. And I wanted to make sure they know I was mean. I was going through a hard time. I didn't mean it. I don't mean it. And I'm very sorry, because I can't, I know how it feels to have these words coming up in your head. They stick with you.
You're very self-aware.
I try to be.
You have a lot of self-awareness for your age, seriously. I mean, I think for a lot of people, some people will go their entire lives without having the kind of self-insight that you have. I'm really happy for you that you are so self-aware, because it looks like you've been able to kind of almost take an above yourself look at, hey, these are the things about me that are really awesome. And I know that's really awesome, but at this point, this wasn't that great. And being able to acknowledge it, and not just acknowledge it, but do what you can to make it right. Obviously, you can't change how they feel about it, but doing everything that you can on your end.
Yeah, and I think, it wasn't many people. Like, it was just like a couple people that I knew I had hurt. I knew I had gotten into a fight with this one girl backstage during a show, and not like a physical fight, just like an argument. And I
those
said
are
some
sometimes
mean things.
worse, right?
They are, I think so, because I think words stick with you more than a black eye does or whatever. And so I remember I went up to her, I apologized, and I said, this is what I did, and I'm very sorry. And to do that took a lot of time, because it took a lot of therapy too, to realize that, because when I started going to therapy, I was like, I'm right. Everything I did was right. This is the way, like, everyone else is messed up. And then going to therapy and growing up, obviously, it made me realize, oh, I also mess up too and do some things I shouldn't. And so it was nice for me to be able to go and talk to these people. It kind of took a weight off of my shoulders, and I know it did them too, because they just said, thank you for doing this, because no one does this. Like, no one is gonna take you to Starbucks and sit you down and say, hey, I know I was really mean to you.
Right. That doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often.
That.
There's people who do it, obviously, but especially at 18.
Right.
Like, Not many 18-year-olds are sitting people down saying
you're
sorry.
like years ahead of your time with a lot of this stuff. Like I can tell you've done your work. Like we'll talk about that here in a little bit because I do want to hear how through therapy and everything how your healing journey has been, because you can tell you've done the work, and that's awesome. Okay, I want to talk about what's been going on more recently with you, and especially in regard to who you were working with when you came back here. Now, I have to tell you, when I read this from my own past and my own trauma that I've dealt with, I instantly felt myself seize up inside, because when I was 19, I had an adult that very much took advantage of me. It was not the same situation, but a lot of emotional manipulation and being expected to function in a capacity that is way so far outside of your maturity level and age and just what's appropriate to the situation.
Yeah.
So you came back home, you start working with this individual, and rather than me infuse my own feelings into it, I want to hear from you. I just want to know, one, what occurred during that time period, and I want to know how it affected you.
Yeah. So when I started working with this person, it was really good. I was really excited because I didn't like playing alone, and I wanted to play with someone else, and this person was very talented, and I was like, we just worked well together at the start of it. And I had met him at a music store, and he had asked to sing with me, and I was like, yeah. And then we started playing out together, and it just kind of happened, and we became very, very close friends. Very good relationship, a good
Which
working
is normal
relationship.
when you're working with someone, and really what you hope for. Because when you can
Yeah.
have a good professional working relationship, that's great.
Exactly.
But if that can extend into an amazing, beautiful friendship, that's even better, right?
Yeah, and so we would, we rode to gigs together constantly. We had a good time at the start of things. And I was having a blast because I didn't have to just rely on myself. Like I was doing it with someone else, going to these places with someone else. And I would say, I'm pretty sure we played for 2 years together. And towards, I would say maybe the middle of that, I had gotten a call from him after a gig one night. And he was like, I need you to come pick me up. I need somewhere to live. And so he lived with me. And so now I'm living with this person, working with this person, and spending every second of every day with this person. And I was so happy for a good amount of time because with the way this person was treating me, it was like we were in an adult relationship.
That's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people saw, we'd get people come up and be like, are you guys a couple? And we're like, no. But it was like people saw that. And so obviously, I'm 18, 19. I developed feelings for the guy because who's not going to when you're getting
normal.
treated this way and living with this person. And
well, can I also make a little observation? Okay, so considering everything that you dealt with growing up, considering that adults that were supposed to be standing in the gap and supporting you and being there for you, we're not doing that in the education system. It kind of makes sense to me, right? Because you have this person who can kind of be considered an authority figure because they're older, but they're not. You guys are on an equal playing field. So that makes sense to me. I don't think there's anything weird or abnormal about that. I think that's almost bound to happen, right?
Yeah. And, one day it was we were equal. And then the next day I was treated like I was a child. And it kept going like that. It
that
was a
messed with
cycle.
your head?
It messed with my head so much. And I was so confused because one, this person is way older than me. Why do I have feelings for this person? Two, why am I playing stepmom to his kid? There was so many things that were not okay about what was going on, but I was so, when you have feelings for someone and you like someone, you push that to the side. And you're like,
it's very easy to ignore the stuff that is very toxic, right?
And then from doing this for 2 years and me having these feelings and unspoken, and then doing it, I just crashed. Like I was like, I'm living with him, It started out, we'd be playing music together all the time, going to the store, talking with each other. It was great. And then one day I said I needed a break. he stopped talking to me completely, wouldn't talk to me. And I still had feelings at this point, so I'm like, what did I do? And then we were constantly getting into arguments, and it was just really hard. I'm 19, 20, you know? I was 19 at the time, and it was just like, this is not something a 19-year-old needs to be going through right now. Mm-hmm. And eventually it just got way too much. I remember I went to New York with my family, because my family's from upstate New York, and I was so happy. And I went there for like a couple weeks, and that's when I took the first break. And then we went back to playing, and I was miserable. That was the first time after New York I realized I hate doing this. And I couldn't understand why I hated playing out, because I loved music and I loved performing, and I couldn't understand. I love singing, it's my love, and I couldn't understand why I hated it so much. And then things started getting unorganized with gigs and having to cancel and doing all this stuff. It was just not fun anymore. And then the second time I needed to take a break, that was when he said, stop talking to me. And then I was like, what? And then we started playing again. I was in the worst depression. Like, I think it was very dark my senior year. After, you know, all the drama with the friend, it was very dark. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move. I felt myself like slipping back into that at this point. And that's when I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to focus on myself and my therapy, because I was focusing on him in this situation and, you know, high school stuff. And I'd never been able to just focus on myself and heal myself. And I knew I was going to keep being miserable if I didn't do that. And so I went to him and was like, I can't, we need to stop. Like, I can't do this anymore right now. And then it got really bad with everything, even worse than it was. And it was heartbreaking, because I thought he was like my best friend, because he was there for me when nobody else was. And I had told him that, and I had written him this letter, and I was like, thank you. And then to have him be so angry and so mad, and it still is hard because it's recent.
I'm really sorry that you went through that. Once again, I know I've said it a few times, you are so strong, because even in all of that, I know that when you have that person who they're kind of like your world because of what they're adding to your life, what they're doing for you, your spirits to lift them. I feel for you a lot, because I know what that's like to then say, this is what makes you so strong, to say, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. It's a big deal. Some people will let themselves stay in a situation like that until it's to the point where they're so broken down, there's just no way for them to speak up for themselves. So my heart breaks for you that you went through that. I'm so glad you got out of that. But I'm also understand it takes a while to come back from something like that, especially a relationship that's so significant in your life. So I'm just really sorry that happened to you. Yeah. So with that happening, that's when you decided, I need to take a break from everything. Yeah. And that's when you pulled back. Has that been a positive thing for you? Or are you finding that you really miss playing out?
It's been positive.
Good.
I have mixed feelings now when it comes to playing out. I miss it because I miss singing, but I also know that I'm not ready to get back into it just quite yet. And I don't know really if I will be in the near future. There are some things that are being talked about, and I'm starting to get back to, I think I can do this again, and I think I want to do this again, and it's going to be completely different because I'm not going to be with this person. And I'm hopeful that I will get back to it, and I know people want me to get back to it, but I have to do it on my own time. And it's hard because I don't have a job. I have car payment, insurance, gas, all that kind of stuff. I'm living with my parents, and I'm 20. I want to get out one day. I want to move. I want to, live my life. And so it's hard, not wanting that, because I've always wanted to just freedom and travel and all that crazy stuff. Yeah. And so not having that when I thought I would it's like kind of messes with me. I was like,
I get that.
you know, I see all these other people, and I like to compare myself a lot, which is not a good thing, but yeah, I mean, everyone does.
I get it.
But I see like some of my friends, and, you know, they're moving out, they're, you know, even some of them in college, and they're just like having the best time ever. And it's like, I'm in my room with my guitar, and I don't have very many friends, because I don't want many friends, because I think with everything that I've gone through at this point, I've convinced myself, and it's something I'm working on in therapy right now, that I would rather just be alone than have all these friends, and
That's
or even like be in
understandable.
a relationship or anything, because I just don't want to deal with other people right now. And I think that just stems from everything that I've gone through.
It makes perfect sense to me. Do you feel like after going through what you did with the person you were playing with when you came back, that even though it was an awful, devastating experience, that it's given you a little bit more street smarts and insight into what will and will not be acceptable to you in the future?
Yeah,
Going
and
into a new situation.
Yeah, and I think that a very big believer in everything happens for a reason.
I am
Like,
too.
I really am. I think certain people come into your life for a reason. Not, you know, people are there for, you know, they could be there for a year, or they could be there forever, for 2 weeks, you know. Everyone comes into your life, I believe, to teach you a lesson. And so now, you know, now that these people, even not just him, but all these people have left me or whatever, I now can look at it and say, this was the reason this happened. You know, there was, when I was going through, like in the heat of it, with playing out and him not talking to me and everything, I had wrote this song, and it was a song, it's not out, and I'm gonna put it out one day, but it was a song, and I was like, if this is the song that would make it, like, for me.
Okay.
And that happens a lot, like when I do go through specific situations or something triggers me, like I said, that's when the music comes. And so I think a lot of why I have gone through these situations is so I can write, which is like kind of weird, but and grow as a person,
you know what?
obviously.
Everybody's why is different.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with anyone's why. Like, if that's your why, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure that you've thought about this too. Sure, it could be for songwriting, but songwriting represents so much more for you than just that. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you're clearly a fan of therapy, and I love that.
I love it.
I
yeah.
love that. You talked about EMDR and a couple different therapy modalities. How do you think it would be for you right now if you didn't have therapy in your life and hadn't had therapy in your life?
Truly?
Yeah, truly.
I don't think I would be here
Okay.
right now. In 6th grade, when I was getting told to kill myself, you're 11, 12, however old I was, young, and your brain's a sponge.
Yeah.
So I was like, fine, I'll do it then. And I was like, I was young, so it wasn't like I was feeling like I didn't want to be here anymore, but people were telling me to do it, so I wanted to. I was like, I should just do what they said. And so that's when I, you know, became suicidal. And then, you know, it comes and goes. And
I understand.
so without therapy and I have a wonderful, wonderful therapist, love her
great.
so much. And without her and without the work that we do, I don't think I would be here right now. And that's like, because what if I never did go to therapy?
Yeah.
And I don't like to focus on that, because I know something bad would have happened, or
Yeah.
even turning to like drugs or something. I know I have a very addictive personality and stuff.
I get
just
it.
straight
I get
out
it.
there. I do. And so I know that I would have gone down a wrong path, and I had many opportunities to go down a wrong path, but I was in therapy and I knew, no, I just need to focus on myself and all that. So it's been very, very important in my life.
Sounds like it. I'm glad that you went to therapy because I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
I am too.
You even if you don't feel like it, you put out a lot of good into the world. You really do.
Oh,
And I'm a vibes person.
Yeah.
You have really, really good vibes.
So do you.
Thank
So
you.
do you. I'm
I
a vibes
appreciate
person
that.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we close this thing out, I want to talk about someone who's very important in your life, because I know this is someone that has been with you through everything. And you even asked to have them here today. So let's talk about your mom for a second. What does
She's crying.
she's like, what does your mom mean to you? What does the support from your mom mean to you?
Oh, you're gonna make me cry too.
It's all right. But okay,
Yeah.
so even in your emotional response, just in being asked about what she means to you, it's very clear that she means the world to you. Yeah. So what is having your mom? I know your life has had a theme of lack of consistency, but you had a very consistent person.
Yeah.
So what has that meant for you, having that consistency in the inconsistency?
Well, my mom is my best friend. I love her so much, obviously, and she does mean the world to me. And she has constantly been the one person in my life who has been there for me consistently. Even when I would do something wrong or whatever, it was always, I'm on your side. She's always supported me. She's never missed a gig. She's never missed a show. Maybe like here and there, but it's
We'll let
only
her off
been
the
like,
hook.
we'll give
She's off the
her
hook.
some space.
Yeah.
But when I was in the musicals, she never missed a show. When I was young and would sing out, never missed anything. She was always there, and she was always the person I'd look at in the crowd. And even still, like when I was playing out, I was always just looking at her because I always know that I have her support, and she just has been like my rock. And if I didn't have the mom that I do have, I also don't think like I would be here either, because of the talks that we've had so many talks, obviously, and she's just a very positive, like go get 'em kind of person.
I agree with that.
And just very supportive, and has just constantly like, it's been really nice because I didn't want to go to college, and she never pushed that on me. And now that I don't have a job and I'm living in her house, like she's older now. She wants me to get on with my life. But
it sounds like she's giving you the space to figure out what you need to figure out and to continue healing.
Yeah, and
right?
she's like, just do everything on your own time. And she doesn't push me to do things because she knows like I have to, like I know that, and she knows like I have to heal before I can go out in the world and put myself out there and do all these things, because I want to become the person that I've always seen myself being. I don't want to live my life miserable, because and there was this quote, and it was like, it takes a long time to realize how truly miserable you are, but even longer to see that it doesn't have to be that way. I heard it on TikTok or something, but I was like, it stuck out to me. I was like, that's so true.
It is.
Because I'm just now at the point where I'm like, kind of getting to, I don't have to be miserable all the time. I can do like my healing work and my inner child and work and my parts work and my EMDR and my therapy, and I can be happy one day. I might not be the happiest right now, but one day I know I will be. So she's always like just stood behind me and stood like with that idea, and she's just been like my rock for so long, and she always will be. I love her. Love you.
I absolutely love it. Well, Ella, I couldn't think of a better note to end this on. You are truly an impressive young woman. You really are. I mean,
Thank you.
After I read your story, the first words that came to mind, like I said, are you're just very strong. You're very strong. You're very brave. Your perseverance through things that would take a lot of people down is truly remarkable and incredible. And the fact that you have the view of the world that you have, considering what you've been through, is remarkable. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. If you would, please look right at this camera.
Yes.
Tell the people that are listening and watching where they can find you on social media, where they can listen to your music as well.
Sweet. So my Instagram is Ella Cole Music. I post some like reels and some fun stuff on there. I have TikTok, Ella Cole Music. YouTube channel, I post covers, Ella Cole Music. And Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can stream music, it's Ella Cole.
Awesome. Do you have any specific projects you want to promote right now, or are you just really working on songwriting? And
I'm just working on
love it.
songwriting and mental health right now.
Hey, those are two giant things, so it sounds like you have enough on your plate as it is. Well, thank you everyone so much for watching and listening. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube to hit that subscribe button. You can find us on all social media with the handle at Heart of Glass the Pod. You'll see a preview for next week's episode, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks from now, next week. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with us and continuing to get to know wonderful humans who make up the heartbeat of the Glass City. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon. Without fully getting into the nitty-gritty of all of your life experiences, you've described your life as a 45-year destination-less journey.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little more about what you mean when you say that?
Some people, when they're in high school, know exactly what they're going to do with themselves, and they are doing that from the moment they're a young man until the moment they're laid in the clay. And they know, oh, I want to be this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be a construction worker. I'm going to be whatever is in their hearts. They know that's what they're going to be. They become that instantly. They grow to a point within that. And then they just do that in a linear fashion from point A to point B, from birth to death. I've never been on that path. It goes into all of the mediums I work in. It's hard for me to choose one of those paths and say, yeah, this is what I am.
I am good.